All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into the world of AI and creativity. And let me tell you, things are getting interesting. The Adobe Max conference just wrapped up, and let's just say they did not disappoint. Some seriously impressive AI tools are coming out, especially for video editing and design. It's pretty mind-blowing stuff.
I know, right? It's incredible how fast this technology is evolving. What used to be like a far-off dream for creatives is suddenly becoming a reality.
It really is. And one of the things I'm most excited about is this new feature in Premiere Pro called Generative Extend. Have you had a chance to play around with that yet?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And let me tell you, it feels almost like magic. You know how frustrating it can be when you're editing a video and you realize a shot needs just a few more frames to really land?
Ugh, yes. Or you need to adjust an eyeline or smooth out a transition, but you're stuck with the footage you have. It's the worst.
The worst. But now with this generative extend thing, you can actually, extend it. The AI just seamlessly adds those extra frames of video or audio. It's wild.
It sounds like it. So how does it actually work? What's the magic behind the curtain?
Well, from what I understand, it all starts with this massive data set of video and audio that Adobe has used to train their AI. They call it the Firefly Video Model. And it's able to analyze and understand the nuances of visual and auditory content in a way that's never been possible before.
Okay, so it's analyzing all this data, but where is the data coming from? Because that's one of the big concerns people have about AI, right? Are they just scraping data from anywhere they can find it? What about copyright issues?
Right, and Adobe has been very clear about addressing those concerns. They've emphasized that the data used to train their AI models consists entirely of licensed and public domain material.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
So no worries about them using copyrighted material without permission. They're being transparent about their sources.
Yeah, they are. And they've actually implemented this whole content credential system that tracks the origins of content and helps ensure that everything is on the up and up.
That's reassuring. Because no one wants to feel like their work is being used without their consent, especially in the age of AI. So it seems like Adobe is really trying to be thoughtful about these ethical considerations.
Yeah, and it's not just about avoiding legal issues, it's about building trust with the creative community.
Exactly. And that's crucial if we want people to embrace these new AI tools, because the potential here is huge. Think about all the time and headaches this could save editors and designers.
Absolutely. And it's not just about efficiency either. It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible in filmmaking, animation, you name it. This technology has the potential to elevate the entire creative process.
It really does. And what's really exciting is that this level of AI power is becoming accessible to everyone. You don't need to be a big-budget Hollywood studio to use these tools.
And this is just the beginning. As the technology continues to advance, we're going to see even more powerful AI tools becoming available on the devices we're already using.
I can't wait to see what the future holds. Speaking of the future, you mentioned something earlier about project concept. That sounds like a whole other rabbit hole we need to dive into. So project concept, tell me more about that, because it sounds like it could be a game changer for designers.
It really could. I mean, think about how often you get stuck at the beginning of a project. You know, just trying to nail down your ideas, put together a mood board.
All the time. Staring at a blank page is like my worst nightmare.
Totally. And that's where Project Concept comes in. It's like having an AI brainstorming partner. Instead of spending hours searching for inspiration online or digging through design books, you can feed your initial ideas, even if they're still kind of vague, into this AI. And it generates all these different visual possibilities based on what you give it.
So it's like having access to this infinite library of visual references that the AI can then remix and reimagine based on your creative brief.
Exactly. You want to play around with different color palettes? Boom. Project Concept does it in seconds. Want to see how different textures or patterns would work? It can generate those variations instantly.
That's amazing. It's like having a brainstorming partner who can keep up with even the most random ideas you throw at them. And you said this integrates with Adobe Creative Cloud. So you can go straight from brainstorming to actually creating in the same space.
Right. And that's a big deal. Adobe gets that for a tool like this to be truly useful, it needs to fit into how creatives already work. So with Project Concept, you can jump from those early brainstorms right into Photoshop, Illustrator, or whatever you're using. It's all about making that creative process smoother.
It sounds like AI is becoming this thread that connects every part of the creative process. You know, it's not just about automating tasks anymore. It's about enhancing the entire journey.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And it makes you wonder, how is this going to change how we think about creativity itself?
Right. Are we going to see this blurring of what's human creativity and what's artificial creativity?
It's definitely possible. And it's a question that everyone in the creative world is going to be grappling with probably sooner than later. Will AI be our collaborator, our competitor, or something else entirely?
It's both exciting and a little intimidating to think about all the possibilities and maybe even the challenges. Like, we're entering this new era where those lines between human and machine are getting blurrier all the time.
Absolutely. It's a new frontier, and like any new frontier, there will be amazing opportunities, but we also have to be aware of the potential pitfalls.
For sure. Speaking of new frontiers, let's talk about something else that's pretty mind-blowing. Synthetic data. We touched on it earlier, but I think it deserves a deeper dive.
I agree. The implications of synthetic data are huge, not just for AI, but for a lot of different fields. It's something we should all be paying attention to.
Definitely. So for those who might have missed it earlier, can you give us a quick rundown of what synthetic data actually is? What makes it such a big deal?
Sure. So basically, synthetic data is artificial information that's created to have all the same characteristics and patterns as real-world data. But because it's artificial, you don't have to worry about privacy issues or ethical concerns that come with using real people's information.
So it's like creating a twin version of a data set, but without the risks.
Exactly. You get all the good stuff, tons of data to train these powerful AI models, but without the potential downsides. It's a win-win.
That's incredible. Do you have any examples of how it's being used right now, like real-world applications?
Absolutely. One of the biggest ones is self-driving cars. To train the AI that powers those cars, you need insane amounts of data about how cars behave in real life. Road conditions, pedestrians, other cars, everything.
I can't even imagine how much data that must be.
It's a ton, and that's where synthetic data is a game changer. Instead of sending out fleets of cars to collect all that data, which would take forever, companies are building these incredibly realistic simulations, like virtual worlds.
So they're basically building a video game to train cars how to drive themselves.
Pretty much. And they can create endless variations of roads, weather, even crazy situations like pedestrians jumping out in front of the car, all in this safe, controlled environment.
That's wild. It's like the future's already here. But it's not just self-driving cars, right?
Oh, no, not even close. Synthetic data is being used in healthcare to develop new tools and treatments, in finance to catch fraudsters, even in retail to give people personalized shopping recommendations.
Wow, it seems like the possibilities are endless. But I have to ask, are there any downsides? Are there any risks with using synthetic data that we should be thinking about?
You're right to be cautious. As amazing as it is, there are some things to keep in mind. One big one is making sure that the synthetic data is actually an accurate representation of the real world.
Because if it's not accurate, then the AI won't be able to function properly in the real world, right?
Exactly. If the synthetic data is flawed or incomplete, those flaws will get amplified when you use it to train AI.
So it's still all about quality control, even if the data itself is artificial.
100%. And then there's the challenge of the unknown. You can't always predict what's going to happen in the real world.
So how do you prepare an AI for that?
That's where things get interesting. One approach is to deliberately add some randomness to the synthetic data. That way, the AI is more adaptable. It's like giving them a crash course in dealing with the unexpected.
Makes sense. If you only train an AI on a perfect, predictable data set, it's going to freak out as soon as something unpredictable happens in real life.
Exactly.
So adding that randomness to the synthetic data is like teaching the AI to expect the unexpected.
Exactly. It helps them to be more flexible and helps them deal with the chaos of the real world.
That makes sense. But taking a step back, what does all of this mean for the future of AI in general? Is this a sign that we're about to see even more powerful and capable AI systems?
I think it's definitely a possibility. Synthetic data has the potential to completely change how we develop AI. We could see breakthroughs in things like language processing, computer vision, even robotics, things that seemed impossible just a few years ago.
It's exciting, but also a little daunting to think about.
I agree. And that's why it's so important to have conversations about this. Not just engineers and scientists, but everyone needs to be involved.
Absolutely. The future of AI is a shared responsibility, and we need to approach it thoughtfully. What do you think? It's kind of like we're stepping into this weird funhouse mirror, right, with AI and all this talk of synthetic data. Like, it's getting harder to tell what's real and what's not.
It really is. And as we use more and more synthetic data, it's only going to get trickier.
So how do we even make sure this synthetic data is actually a good reflection of real life? How do we keep it from getting all distorted?
Yeah, that's the big question. And honestly, there's no easy answer. It's a constant work in progress. We need to be super careful about the data we use to create the synthetic stuff in the first place. Got to make sure it's as good as it can be.
So it all comes back to quality control, even when we're talking about artificial data.
Exactly. And then there's this whole other challenge. The real world is unpredictable. Stuff happens that you just can't plan for.
Right. And how do you prepare AI for that? How do you teach it to expect the unexpected?
Well, one thing researchers are doing is actually building randomness into the synthetic data, like on purpose. So instead of everything being perfectly predictable, there are these little variations, these surprises baked in.
Oh, interesting. So it's like giving the AI a dose of real-world chaos, even if it's still in this artificial environment.
Yeah, exactly. That way, when the AI encounters something unexpected in the real world, it's not totally thrown off.
It's like that saying, prepare for the worst, hope for the best.
Right.
So, big picture time. What does all of this mean for the future of AI? Are we about to see some crazy advancements because of synthetic data?
I think so. I mean, it has the potential to unlock things we haven't even thought of yet. Imagine having almost unlimited data to train AI models. It could be huge for language processing, for robots, for all sorts of things.
It's both exciting and a little bit, intimidating, right? Like, where does it all lead?
Totally.
Right.
It's a powerful tool. And that's why it's more important than ever to be having these conversations about the ethics of it all, to make sure we're using it responsibly.
100%. This is bigger than just technology. It's about our future.
Uh-huh.
And on that note, to everyone listening, we'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this.
Yeah.
What are your hopes and fears about synthetic data and AI? Leave us a comment and let's keep this conversation going because this is just the beginning.